guys? Thank you so much for being here, Justice Warriors. So I see your last question, your heavenly clouds. I wonder if Xena lights are working okay. Are there people having trouble with their lights? I know there's a lot of storms in the state of Ohio, and I don't remember if Heavenly Clouds is in the state of Ohio. So I'm going to pin that message and get the ball rolling. How is everybody's weekend? So yes, my lights are working great. I just had to switch up a few things in the set design, and then I just go a little hog wild, and then everything falls over. But don't you love it? Isn't it so cute? We've got a big glass ball here with air bubbles in it. Oh, back there, you can't really see it. Let me see if I can adjust. There we go. So then we got that big amber colored glass ball with bigger air bubbles in it. So those are a couple of my prized possessions that I can share them both with you now. So I think that will work out. Yeah, so there we go. How's everybody's weekend? Chitty chat, pixie knickers. Thanks, Heavenly Clouds. I love my lights. I know I'm a goofball and I try not to overdo it, but what are you going to do? So yeah, let's start with some good news. Okay. And still, everything I say is simply my opinion. It's simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and learn something and just have a really great conversation with you guys. My videos are all made for YouTube, which, as we all know, it's an entertainment platform. So yes, shall we start with the good news? Dilly Owen says, I love the backgrounds. I've ordered me some lights. Love them. Love your backgrounds. And I have so much cool stuff. Like I have like 3 different sets. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but yeah, I have way too much cool stuff. And I'm constantly trying to like declutter and get rid of stuff because, less is more, in my opinion. So yeah, I spent the weekend decluttering and all that good stuff. Did some outdoor work for the first time this season. That's always exciting. It feels so good. I want to say the 2 happiest things, that little baby was found in Florida, that little 2-year-old boy that had wandered off. Amazing. Amazing. I could just cry. 24 hours that kid was missing. I haven't gotten any updates. I don't know if there are any since he was found safely. I think, what was that, Friday night? Or Friday, and he was barefoot. He was still wearing his jammies, and he was just in the middle of a field, I think about a quarter of a mile from his home. Unbelievable. And what luck, what absolute luck that he didn't get snatched or drowned or eaten. I mean, there's freaking alligators there, you guys. I mean, it's Florida. In a field, you have alligators. Like kids get eaten by alligators at Disney World. You guys have probably heard those stories, right? Florida. There's also giant pythons, like no joke. So amazing with the human snakes and the actual snakes that this kid hopefully was unscathed. What a miracle. Absolute miracle. So the other beautiful news, Steve Gonzalez is now a granddaddy. I can't remember if that's the first grandbaby, but there was this little girl born over the weekend, and just precious and perfect and so sad, named after her aunt and her other aunt, right? Maddie K is like the middle name. Oh, it just brings tears to my eyes. No, you've helped me. My husband's ordered me more lights and putting a camera above the table so I can do my paintings. You inspire me. Thank you. Lighting is so important, you guys. So, I have done a little bit of study of feng shui, and lighting is huge. But anybody who does interior design or works on television sets or even display windows can tell you lighting is huge. I love being inspiration. I'm so happy to hear that. When the tulip bulbs come out, called Ethan's Smile, get some for your garden. Oh, I have a lot of tulips. I'm a Dutch girl in my heart and soul. And my mother and I planted a tulip when I was about 5. It's one of my best childhood memories, and it seemed like that tulip blossomed overnight. I'm sure it took like 2 weeks, but it was so quick compared to what I thought, just putting this thing in the dirt. So I've always had an affinity for tulips. So yeah, thank God he was okay. Yes, I was watching live when JJ was found. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. What a happy ending. Um so good morning to everybody. So I felt like um I kind of had a little homework assignment over the weekend. Do you guys remember what it was? You assigned it, I assigned it, I don't know. It had been kind of brewing and evolving of doing like a crazy board or a timeline chronological of the three police departments and the players in these cases in the Idaho 4, which including the city of Pullman and the Pullman PD and the Wazoo Police Department, who is the person in charge of Wazoo, Chief Jenkins, was the police chief for Pullman for a number of years. And then James Fry has been the police chief there in Moscow for a number of years. So obviously these guys know each other. I don't know if they have a friendly relationship or not. It was on the news that Chief Jenkins was offered his help and his department's help to Chief Fry early on in the investigation. And Chief Fry said, "We got this." So, it kind of makes me wonder. Kind of makes me wonder if there's things that Chief Fry doesn't want the Pullman Police Department to know, or the Wazoo Police Department, excuse me. So Chief Jenkins was still with Pullman PD when the criminal defendant interviewed for that paid assistantship fellowship position. I think they called it an assistantship. It was like a paid internship. Anyway, Brian Koberger interviewed with Chief Jenkins, I think through a video chat on April 4th last year, 2022. All we know, as far as I know, tell me if you guys know anything more, is that the criminal defendant was one of 4 applicants, and there's never been any information released on what the outcome was, whether he was approved or denied. I mean, some of that's okay to keep things under wraps until the trial. And then some of that is just weird that they would release that much, that they'd even release the emails back and forth between the criminal defendant and Police Chief Jenkins from that same day. And then nothing. So, when they aren't being transparent, it makes you wonder if they're hiding something. So, and they know that. They should know that. I mean, it's the line of business that they're in, and transparency is the law. And of course, they need to have discretion when something's under investigation. They have every right, and they should keep their cards close to their chest, so long as public safety is the top priority. And they also know that they need the help of the public to get things figured out. Like, for instance, with that car, right? With the 2011 to the 2013 Hyundai Elantra, when they said that they were looking for that. And then it turned out that the criminal defendant's Hyundai Elantra was a 2015. And then they said, "Oh, yeah, we knew that. We just didn't bother updating the public once we figured that out." That's very suspicious. That's extremely suspicious, because they were trying to utilize the public to help them find the car, allegedly. So police cover up go as far back as John Bonet, allegedly. Yeah. So you guys, I did 3 community posts on Saturday morning. I think I did one yesterday. The was it the first one I did Saturday morning was the map of Moscow Police Department to 1122 King Road. So that map is actually incorrect. I Googled it, and Google has conflicting information, but the address that Moscow PD still has on their website is their old headquarters, their old station. So about a year ago, they moved into the new station that's actually even closer to the residence where the slayings happened. So I left it as is just because my point was that it's only about a mile away. So the old police station is just over a mile away, and the new police station is just under a mile away. So it's like a 3-minute drive. You know how it took 4 hours for the lead detective to get there on that day? That's insane. And it can only make you wonder again, what's being hidden? Why did it take him 4 hours? If he was out of town, first of all, if he was on call as a supervisor that weekend, he's not allowed to be too far out of town. Most areas have a rule like 30 minutes outside of town, no more than 30 minutes. I can't imagine that any jurisdiction would have a rule where you could be an hour outside of town because these are emergency services. And if you are going to be an hour out of town, then you would call your backup and say, hey, I need to run to this other city for a little bit while I'm on call. Can you cover in case there's a bank robbery or a live shooter or a quadruple slaying? You know, you have to communicate. If you're on call, you are required to be available in an emergency situation. So 4 hours is not my definition of being available. I want to know why it took him 4 hours. I want to know if other supervisors of his were there, because really it doesn't even fall on his shoulders. He's only a corporal. A corporal is only one step up from an officer, one step. There's sergeants in that department. There's a captain. I don't think they have an assistant chief, but then of course they have a police chief. So he would have three superiors above him, and it would be on their head and shoulders the responsibility to make sure that the lead detective is there in a timely manner. The evidence decompensates, it disintegrates, and people leave the area. And what? Then they showed up and said, yeah, everybody's free to leave the whole freaking campus because we know that you're scared and we don't know what we're doing. Remember that? That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Law enforcement already had criminal defendant car before asking public or passengers. I feel like since the gas station lady went public, they tossed us that bone only to find out how many white Elantras there were. Well, Annie Ruler, the new police station is really close to that A&W root beer gas station where the employee allegedly saw the white Hyundai white Hyundai Elantra speeding away at, what was it, 4:25 in the morning, probably, allegedly. That new gas station is right near there. So why in the world would it have taken what was it, a couple of weeks? It was at least a week. And then the police say that this gas station attendant was bored and they were looking over their videos and they saw it. That's like crazy. That is completely insane. The police are right there. Like, wouldn't they have their own surveillance cameras outside of their station? I'm sure they do. That's crazy, you guys. There's so much in this case that is just completely insane like that. Like, are we being gaslit? Are these officers, is this department just a bunch of buffoons, like a bunch of Barney Fifes? I mean, seriously. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be critical, but these people are charged with protecting and serving the public. And dang. Not as bad as over in Pullman, where they go above and beyond serving the public, right? Way above and beyond. Oh my goodness. Susan, oh no, he was probably getting busy. Well, that's what they do in Pullman. That's like part of the job description, and they don't get punished. So, there was a police sergeant 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2018, who assaulted that 18-year-old freshman when she was inebriated and diabetic and in horrible shape. And that guy, Dan Hargraves, was in cahoots with Matthew Kurt that night. So Matthew Kurt worked for the Wazoo PD. Dan Hargraves worked for Pullman PD. This was 5 years ago, 2018. So Jenkins was Hargraves' supervisor. Hargraves had a long history of sexually harassing his coworkers and it being reported. And the police chief saying, oh, well, we'll give him supervisory counseling. We will instruct him to pay closer attention to detail. It'll all be fine. In my opinion, Chief Jenkins is responsible for that 18-year-old girl getting, I don't like to say the word, you know the word, RAP, ed. In my opinion, Chief Jenkins is 100% responsible for that because that was just a disaster waiting to happen. Matthew Kurt had contact with her that night. So I'm going to guess that there's a lot more to that story that never came out in the trial. So the trial resulted in a hung jury and the girl was just too traumatized to move forward with a new trial. And that guy pretty much got away scot-free. And so did Chief Jenkins. That is his responsibility. He's the supervisor. He's the one running the show. He's the one holding the keys. He's the one running the department. That should have never happened. So Hargraves finally, was absolved of all of his duties and responsibilities as being a commissioned police officer. But then when Jenkins swooped in to Wazoo, when their entire command staff had failed just as bad, if not worse, this last year, and that was from 2 years ago. So it finally caught up with them. So hope I'm not going too fast. I am working on the timeline. So I'll have that as a community post. So when all of the command staff resigned in June or July 2022, and then Jenkins resigned from Pullman PD so that he was available to get hired for Wazoo. And he swooped in and saved the day and was going to be the hero and clean up this mess. And then November 1st, finally, Matthew Kurt was resigned. He was the one who got everybody else resigned. But really, that should have happened back at Pullman PD when that girl was sexually assaulted by a sergeant while he was on duty, while he had her in custody. And he didn't have record of her being in custody because he didn't have his body cam on. He didn't write anything down. He went dark with his dispatch. I mean, this is like full-fledged disgusting. And I told you guys, I've been to that campus and it's known as a RAPE town. And the town is pretty much the campus. The campus is like 25,000. The town is just like 10,000 additional to that. The entire Pullman town is basically Wazoo, and it's RAPE town. And I didn't know that it was the police that were doing it. I mean, I figured it was the frat boys and such, right? But of course the police are in on it because otherwise they'd be shutting that down because that's supposed to be illegal. And this is 35 years ago, you guys. I haven't stepped foot onto that campus in probably 32 years to be exact. But I have family who went there, I'm embarrassed to say. Not direct family, in-laws. Hopefully they're not watching this video. Oh my goodness. Anyway, let me keep up with you guys. Sis Vicious is here. Awesome. It's been a while. State the facts. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, Watts. How's it going, Kelly? And let's see. Awesome. Sherry Urban. See, that's why I have so much trouble with Stevie Irwin, because you guys, your names are so similar. That is awful. Some cops abuse their authority. I've seen it happen, you guys. I've seen it happen. I've been eyewitness firsthand. I could tell you some stories, but that's for another day, another dollar. This is an intense story. You're a good storyteller. Oh, you're so sweet, Kelly. I don't like focusing on evil crap, and there's so much evil crap. So I like to try to make a positive spin. But you have to deal with reality. You have to address what's right there, or you're not going to be in reality. So, um, can we segue over into the other evil pile of poop, the Kylie Rodney case? Hey there, what's the obsessions? It's vicious. It has been a while. I've been moving. Worst task ever. Oh my goodness, I hate moving. I hate it. So yeah, I think you missed my crazy board of my cross country moves. It's been 13 years, 14 years almost since my last cross country move, so don't worry. But it is in a community post if you're interested. It was this giant poster board that like literally took up the whole screen. It was hilarious. So as I was working on another timeline type of thing this weekend, I was like using small paper, but it's so confusing. So I don't know, it's right now I just have it linear. I can't even talk. Linear. There we go. I can talk. Anyway, I wanted to jump over to the Kylie Rodney case because I got an email over the weekend from one of my favorite viewers. I'm sorry, I admit it. I do have favorite viewers. It's like being a mom. You can't have a favorite kid, right? But she's one of my favorites because she is the one who made those little Christmas tree ornaments. And I just think those Christmas tree ornaments rock, as does she. So she shared with me an email that I want to share with you guys. It's really long. I'm not going to share it right now. I have asked her if I can share it, but she pretty much says in the email that she would like it to be shared. But it's very extensive. It's about the Kylie Rodney case. It's about the dark, evil, I'm just going to say it, the ritualistic crap, okay? CNY has delved into that. Kevin Neese has delved into that. In fact, he just put one out last night or this morning that is pretty much the same type of thing that I want to discuss. It's the darkest of dark. It's not that I want to discuss it, it's that I want to address it because I believe it's the only way to slow it down or to make it stop. But, it's basically about evil. It's about Satan and those rituals and those worshipers. And, we all like to put our heads in the sand and pretend that that just couldn't be happening. That couldn't be happening here. That just couldn't be happening. And it is happening. So you guys have heard of Bohemian Grove. That was something that was kicked around a lot during the Kylie Rodney case. And some people know what Bohemian Grove is, and a lot of us don't. So I'm sort of in the middle there. It took me a while before I caught on. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I keep hearing that. What is it? So allegedly, the superstition, the allegation is that Bohemian Grove is this toxic wasteland of like that type of thing, and it's 2 hours from Truckee. It's towards Santa Rosa, so it's a beautiful area, and I can't think of the name of the town. Montesino, something like that. It's the name of the town where Bohemian Grove is. So Bohemian Grove is this club where the super elite, rich and wealthy, those are the same thing, right? Rich and wealthy. It's like a gentleman's club, and it's where there was suspicion that maybe some people that might have been trafficked were trafficked there. So it seems as though this Bohemian Grove has a lot more to do with the whole Kylie Rodney case than any of us would really like to see or witness or hear about. So let's see. I knew the story. You need your channel monetized up. I want a super chat. You finally, oh, that's cute. I am monetized. I still have that same issue where I can't verify that I'm me. And I even went and bought a website and it's still not working. And I don't really care. I mean, eventually it'll all come out in the wash. But thank you. Thank you for the thought. So yeah, whatever it is that they want me to do, I can give them my thumbprint. I can give them my birth certificate, my social security card. they wanted a website, and then I got the website, and then they're like, nah, we don't need a website. We need other stuff, but we're not going to tell you what. So I'm still working on it. Like I said, I'm not that stressed about it. I was, because I had a deadline coming up, but the deadline is come and gone, and it's just kind of in a holding pattern. Um, yeah. Oh, you know what, Watts, you are right. She's saying that moving is rough, especially the little ones. And I agree. Moving across town can be even more stressful than moving cross country, because when you move cross country, you have to be super organized, load everything up and do it, right? When you're moving across town, you can do like 50 mini loads and it can just be endless. And yeah, the last time we moved was across town. That was like 9 years ago. It was just like 3 blocks, and we stretched it out like an entire month. And I'm sure we could have stretched it out even longer. But yeah, you just don't feel like finishing, you're just like so done. Anyway, I got one I got one ornament. I am going to send her a letter to thank her. Oh, Heavenly Clouds, I'm so glad you got yours. Yeah, they're beautiful. And one of my mods wants to make more of them with her permission. So maybe it's something that can be sold, although, we wouldn't want to like monetize it like that, but just to basically cover the costs or something. I don't know. Um, I'll leave that between her and my mod. I don't really want to get involved, but I love my ornament, and I'm so glad she shared one with me. If the Idaho case is linear, Kylie Rodney case is definitely quadratic. So, both of these cases, in my opinion, are both so evil and so dark. Whether there's that type of organized, ritualistic BS going on or not. And, you know, just the vile, dark evil is prevalent in both. I highly suspect that there is an element of that in the Kylie Rodney case that is organized, that is actually, um, intentional. In this case, I don't know. I don't get that feeling necessarily. I did up front. Up front, I thought this is just more of the same and I can't deal with it. It's just a mess. And I was very, very hesitant and resistant to covering the Idaho 4 case, because it did seem like um, kind of the inverted of what Sis Vicious said, that it seemed like quadruple the Kylie Rodney case, and just, so much more graphic. Um, anyway, the gaslighting is just unbelievable. So, we were all told up front by Mabbitt, the coroner, that all these people were sleeping. And that was reiterated by Chief Fry. That was reiterated by Captain Lanier, I think is how you say his name. They said that these people were sleeping, all 4 of them, which made it, more plausible of the whole scenario as it's been sketched out. But now we know for sure that Xana was awake. We know most likely Ethan was awake. We know very likely Kaylee was awake. It just doesn't add up. And then we have this whole thing with Dylan. You guys, if this had been going on, these people awake, getting assaulted, attacked like this, don't you think that there'd be more than just a scuffle sounding like somebody playing with their dog, or more than just whimpering? There would be blood curdling screams. And I don't know what's on the neighbor's doorbell cam audio, right? None of us know that. Unfortunately, one of the content creators pretended like he got a hold of it, and that was ridiculous. But we don't know what's on that tape. We don't know, we all heard Enan Harsh say that there was no screaming, and then a few days later he recanted and said that he did hear screaming. We just don't know. We, the public, don't know. Obviously, law enforcement knows. Like I've said again and again, there's going to be 6 smartphones at least from in the residence that have everything recorded. There's going to be Siri, and maybe the one that starts with an A, who we cannot say. Her name must not be spoken, like Beetlejuice, right? We have potentially smartwatches and other listening devices. All of our electronic devices, all of this AI is recording all the time. So that's just from in that one residence. That's not counting any doorbell cams around the residence. But whatever it was that would have been audio would be recorded. So, you know, Dylan's story to me at this point in time is just beyond highly unlikely. It's not possible in my opinion. And Bethany doesn't really have a story. I mean, her story is that she was in bed, possibly asleep. They worded their affidavit very carefully, where they literally didn't say anyone was asleep. They did not say that any of these 6 people were asleep in the affidavit. They said that they were all in their rooms, like they were all asleep, or at least in their rooms, I think by 4 a.m. is how it's worded. So all that says is that they're in their rooms at 4 a.m. It really doesn't say that they're asleep, because it's asleep or in their room. So if they're in their room and not asleep, that's covered. So other people that have lived in this house over the years say that sound really travels, because I could see where being on the bottom floor that you might not hear what's going on the floor right above you, or especially 2 above you. But people that have been in that house say that it's like an echo chamber. So, we all know, we've all been in houses and apartments where you can hear everything going on right above you. It's annoying, right? It's terrible. I mean, how many of us have taken the broom and hit the roof to get people to shut up, because you don't want to have to like walk up there and knock on the door and tell them to shut up, right? And it's, you guys are just going on and on. Love hearing your laugh. Oh, the hoops they make you jump through to just to monetize you later. Go figure. I know. And like I said, I mean, it's fine. I'm not going to turn money down, but it's really neither here nor there. I have a full-time profession, so that's not an issue. I do have 4 kids, 1 in college, and a lot of expenses and desires for family vacations to Hawaii and Europe. So who knows? Possibilities are endless. But I don't feel like I need much. As long as I get my needs met, my kids get their needs met, that's all that matters. And I really like doing things not motivated by money, because when you're motivated by money, it just kind of changes it. I'm motivated by the community that we've built. I'm motivated by truth. I'm really motivated by social change. And I know that sounds a little grandiose and lofty, pie in the sky pipe dream, but you never know. You never know. I really believe that every little bit helps. So, we're in this together. We're trying to forge forward. We're trying to make sure that things like this don't happen. Because guess what, you guys? Things like this don't happen. Really, think about it. I mean, there's a lot of evil in the world. There's a lot of dark, horrible crap that happens. But 4 college kids getting slaughtered in a sorority house. I mean, it's not technically a sorority house, but you know what I mean. And what about the football game? Oh my goodness, you guys, I want to keep up with you, but I don't want to forget to talk about this. That freaking football game that night. Wouldn't all of these people have been at that football game prior to the bars? I mean, what do you guys know about that? We've heard about this big rival football game. I think it was with UC Davis, and that Davis won, and that, this is a big football town. So why don't they mention the whole football night as part of this whole story? It gets totally forgotten about. It doesn't make sense to me. Mark Bunlina, the only time I've been to that area is to Heavenly for skiing 3 times. I never caught a weird vibe, but I was in vacade mode. What specifically bothers your friend? Oh, interesting. And you guys know, I haven't discussed it in a long time, but I have skied at Tahoe many times, almost always at North Star, which is pretty much in Truckee. And the lodge, the cabin that we had access to was right on Donner Lake. So it was very close to where all this happened. And it's just bizarre to me. The first thing I noticed when we got there at night was, even at night, because, the snow and the moon, and you can see, was the mountain across the lake from us with the train tracks that go nowhere. That was the first thing I noticed. And then every time we went out to get food and spoke with locals, it's a small town, so they know that you're not a local, and they want to ask you, like, so how do you like our town? So how about them cannibals? I mean, it's pretty freaking creepy. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it for myself. And yeah, it is a heavenly place. It's absolutely heavenly. Convoluted misinformation. Hey, Rachel Smith, let me get caught up with you. Where are you? So I'm just 7 minutes behind the game here. I'm going to try to speed read, get caught up, because I've missed a lot, and I apologize, you guys. I hate missing your wonderful comments. I try to catch as much as I can, and it's awesome when it's so lively that it's really hard to keep up. Let's see. Eye rolls coming down the lane. YouTube is lawless. Well, they keep changing everything. They change everything all the time. Like, they should just leave well enough alone, in my opinion. The perp had no fear of awake people or electronic devices and managed not to be filmed anywhere but shopping in Albertsons. Rachel, you are so freaking on it. Yeah, what do you make of that? Watts asks. I heard they are going to tear it down in a couple of weeks. If they tear it down in a couple of weeks, that's called destruction of evidence, you guys. Of course they should tear that place down, but of course they need to wait until after the trial. This is insane. It's like they're trying to upset me. I mean, come on. That is the craziest cray I've ever heard. What do you think of that? You're the lawyer family. They can't tear that place down until the jurors have a chance to tour it during the freaking trial. I mean, I know they have 3D artificial intelligence things of it, but it's not the same. The jurors need to be able to walk in there and walk through and see exactly what allegedly happened everywhere in that place. Tearing it down, to me, is like them telling on themselves. Seriously. The silence of Truckee. I reached out to 200 people since I was a Google recruiter till recently, and no one talks. Mainly Truckee Sparks had friends who love Tahoe. Google recruiter, Mark Molina, that's pretty awesome. I think they should wait till after the trial before they tear it down. It's beyond like thinking or feeling like they should wait. Like, it's mandatory. Like this is crazy, you guys. This is completely insane. And I suspect that they'll just go ahead and do it. Like, they're probably in the middle of doing it right now. Like, we'll find out later today. Oh, yep, done and dusted. Like I said, to me, them even saying that they're going to do that is telling on themselves, that they have a lot that they're hiding. A lot. Subs are getting higher. Yes, I know. And it is exciting to have subs getting higher. It just like tickles your heart, doesn't it? I know Watts has a channel that's grown a lot. And yeah, it really tickles your heart, that type of movement. It's very positive. It's absolutely very positive. And if they didn't go to the football game, they would have at least had an after party. I'm glad you brought this up. Right. So it seems like they have like a saying or a motto in that community of the University of Idaho, that of course they want to win. Who doesn't want to win? But that they don't care, that they're still going to have a good time drinking afterwards. Right. Although it's such a good feeling to win and then party, as opposed to like drowning in your sorrows. Let's see, where did that go? So hard to keep up with you guys. I'm missing so many great comments. Um, Chemical defendant shoplifts there at Albertsons and knows where the cameras are. Annie, you're reminding me of the Gabby Petito. So, like, with the Gabby Petito case, we all saw that video of her and Brian Laundrie shopping in Whole Foods just a few months ago, well over a year after that whole thing went down. So there's going to be so many videos like that of all of the victims as well as the perp from the days surrounding this event. So many videos like that. And I'm sure law enforcement is overwhelmed with all of this, but they need to do a good job of communicating with the public. The public is a resource for law enforcement, absolutely a resource to help them solve cases and keep the community safe. Someone with a lot of privilege, power, entitlement, and money, which doesn't seem to fit. And I'm not sure what you're referring to with that, Rachel Smith. Initially in the press conference, it makes sense. Some statements were askew so as not to alert perp of an eyewitness. So it's frustrating they haven't walked back correcting those early day claims. Well, and like what frustrates me, I've been on this whole Brent Kopaka thing, is how they said, like, on December 15th that there was no connection to the Idaho case. They can't possibly know that on December 15th. It takes time to vet the information. It takes time to interview and cross-reference. Like, these are small towns. It's my opinion, like, how could they not be connected? Like, sure, there's the possibility that they're not, but it's hard for things to not be connected in a small town. It's really hard everybody knows everybody, right? Does he set Truckee apart from the other communities while deciphering the weird horror vibe, or do you see Truckee as being different? So I know that a lot of people in Tahoe want nothing to do with Truckee, and they try to say Truckee is not Tahoe. Whereas if you live in the Bay Area, Truckee is absolutely considered Tahoe. It's like the first part of Tahoe that you get to when you're going on Interstate 80. So, you have to take smaller roads to get down to, what is it called now? Palisades. It used to be called Squaw Valley, and people get really upset when I call it that. That was considered like the premier Olympic ski resort. I think it's called Palisades now. But that's another half hour. Like, Truckee is the closest. So Truckee's really popular for that reason. Plus North Star, it's a small resort, but it's one of the best. And if they didn't go to the football game, they would have at least had an after party. Yeah, I already read that one, but I'm going to pin it again. Probably different than vacation area. I have never been. I might have rushed to judgment on most. Friend was not specific with me. So yeah, I know people that are more familiar with that larger Olympic resort that I believe it's called Palisades now, and that is supposedly the bomb. Although Heavenly is as well, right? Heavenly is heavenly. Heavenly is the resort mountain, not my characterization of Truckee area, by the way. But it is amazing. I mean, other than that whole history with, the Donner Party and their bad planning, and that was like the worst snowstorm in, I don't know, 150 years or something like that. I mean, it was a really bad snowstorm, and then it stretched out into, I think, 3 or 4 months because, the snow just keeps coming. You guys, I know I've talked about it, not for a while, but until you've seen snow like that, you just haven't seen snow. I mean, it literally can get 20 feet deep, literally, easily. I don't know how deep it got this year. And then some people would say, oh, no, it doesn't get that deep. And it's like, yeah, it does. It stacks up on itself. So I've seen photographs of it being 40 feet deep. And until you've seen these photographs, you just can't believe it. or like I said, being there in person. I mean, when I was there in person, it was probably no more than 20, 25 feet deep. It's freaking crazy. It's cool when you're into skiing. I mean, there's nothing better when you're into skiing. And then moving back up to Seattle, where yeah, I just couldn't ski in the Seattle area resorts after having a dose of Tahoe. And then people like to ski up in Whistler up in Canada, but then it just gets colder and colder as you go further north. So that's the thing that's cool about Tahoe, is it can be not that cold, but still all that freaking snow. I don't mean to jump on you about that. I'm so curious to hear about other perspectives from people who have spent time there. Yeah. And I'm not a good skier. My husband is. He's one of those people that grew up on skis. Not me. I learned in college. Explore and post. Friend did get specific. They lived in the area for quite some time. Career in skiing. Yeah, a lot of people with their careers in skiing. Lot of. I'll never forget the James Bond episode where he's in Tahoe and he has an affair with like a 13-year-old Olympic gymnast. Do you guys remember that one? Like, it's so creepy, but keeping that in mind in context with all the Bohemian Grove and Kylie Rodney, it's like maybe they were alluding to something in that, because I don't think they ever did the underage thing in James Bond other than that one. And it was Tahoe that creeps me out. I'll just forget about that. Let's move on. Don't want to get caught up in that. Oh, just the whole pedo thing is so freaking disgusting. Pictures of Ethan's. What are you talking about, Kay? Huh? I haven't heard anything about this. So this was like 8 minutes ago. You guys, I just highlighted it. It's not about the subs, LOL. No, it's not. But it feels good when you're growing, because you're either, in my opinion, everything is in a constant state of growth or decay. So you're either moving in one direction or the other. Nothing stays stagnant. So when you know that you're growing, then you know that you're not backsliding. So that's what it's about. Um, you don't sound heart tickled. What? This transaction of giving the house to the university seems odd to me. Oh my goodness. Heavenly Clouds, I'm so glad you brought that up. I want to talk about that before we wrap up. We're already getting close to 50 minutes. So, yeah, did you guys hear the landlords, the homeowners gave the property to the university? You've probably heard that with all this discussion of tearing it down. So, first off, I'm thinking, what landlord is going to give away a huge asset like that? That makes me think that there's something going on there. I'm just immediately suspicious, because landlords are out to make money, not give money away. I mean, that's a huge asset. So they're making this big donation to the university, and then the university is the one that's saying that they're going to tear it down. And it just makes me feel like the university is trying to hide stuff. And like I've said before, the Greek system and law enforcement, because you would think law enforcement would put the kibosh on that concept. Absolutely, you can tear it down once the trial is over and done with. That is so creepy. And so, yeah, all kinds of red flags going on for me. The other killers are still out. Well, that's my concern, is that I just don't think anybody could have done that alone, especially with people being awake. Um, so, yeah, I haven't heard anything about the photographs. What you're talking about there. The boys on Taylor at 301 said they were coming from an after party at a Matt's house. There were 4 men going by in the back. So many people awake. It's unreal snow. Yeah. The Idaho case gets wilder by the minute, in my opinion. Yes. Tahoe City is my favorite. Live music all around the lake. The area really thrives year round. I lost my friend to an avalanche, though. Yeah, avalanches are extremely real there. Every year they lose people in avalanches. It's kind of crazy that any of us would even go skiing there knowing that that's a possibility. But you know that there's like millions of people skiing there every year, and maybe five that get lost in an avalanche. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there. So you know that the chances are it's not going to happen to you. But I knew somebody who was on the rescue crew for the ski slopes, and yeah, he saw a lot of horrible stuff. A lot of horrible stuff. It was very traumatizing for him. He did it for years because when you do that, it's a volunteer thing, and then your whole family gets to ski for free. So that's a pretty hot deal. um, Jack, Shoalwater, and Adam, no info about them. Highly unlikely that JS would drive 5 hours after a night of drinking. Kids are smarter than that. I mean, I still want the answers of that photograph from the back of the corner club. I want the answers of why it was said that Jack D hadn't gone out that night, that he was tired from work. So what's his job? Where was he working that day? Um, and we know that he did go out and drink and then went home, and then you know the 10 calls, the not answering, the lack of information about him being notified of the situation. Like, was he home? Did he see all the emergency vehicles? How did all this go down? And then he drives to Kaylee's family to take off his shirt and show them that he doesn't have any scratches. Like, that is so creepy to me, you guys. I mean, that's simply my opinion, but that just gets me really skeeved out. So sorry about your friend, Rachel. Yeah, that's horrible. I'm so sorry you had to get that news. Yeah, what a horrible way to go. Um, and yeah, people that live there have to be tough, because they live in avalanche country. That's really interesting to me since it's always mentioned that it's an off-campus house, right? And it is like what, 2 inches off campus. If you guys look at a map of campus, it's literally across the street from campus. It's like right there. It's barely off campus. You wouldn't really consider that off campus if you were a student, I would think, even though it's technically off campus. The landlord had just put on that addition that is half the property in order to optimize the property investment. It makes no sense that he just hands it over now, right? Absolutely not. I mean, of course, I think tearing it down in the end is absolutely the best way to go. And making some type of memorial, even there, although I know that the discussion is having a memorial elsewhere. Um, yeah, I would imagine that they're just concerned about weirdos doing all the weird stuff that weirdos do. Like over the weekend, hearing about people making their TikTok videos in front of the property. I mean, what? People are just so strange. So many weirdos out there. Um, yeah, I think that there's a lot of hinky stuff going on with the university, with the law enforcement, with the Greek system, and they're trying to hide it all rather than just deal with this tragic loss head on. They don't want to deal with all of the problems, but all they're going to do is make those problems fester, in my opinion. I feel like the university is using the word donate, but likely some backdoor cash agreement. Interesting. Well, and it's always a huge tax write off. And I'm wondering if maybe the landlords are alumni. And yeah, they're, favors, back scratching going on. Something like that. I agree. Oh, now I want to know what was retracted. Um, and was that done? Oh, maybe that was done by the mod. Thanks for being the mod here, Kelly. Or I don't know, it would say if it was the mod. You guys probably retracted it yourself for whatever reason, maybe even accidentally. Doesn't matter. It just gets me curious. Not even a sorority house, right? Not technically a sorority house, but all of the people that live there were actually required to be in a sorority, allegedly. Remember, it's called Fratlantis, that part of the campus where that house is. Dan Etsy rebranded Crest Buff as Bluebird Realty. The co-owner, Scott Perky, is a registered SO. I was reminded of the movie Silver, MK Ultra, and voyeurism. Oh my goodness, Rachel, that's a loaded comment. Holy caboli. And here I am trying to wind it down. Has anyone heard or read that the 4 scholarships are now being given that is said after the college acquiring the King Road property? Maybe this is common for them to release this at the time. No idea. No idea on that one. And I'm almost caught up. Scott Green foreshadows a cybersecurity attack during his December 10th, 2020 speech and pushes for more scholarships. Interesting. So yeah, you guys, talking about the cybersecurity, remember that the whole campus went dark that night when this happened. And do we know, was Brent Kopaka actually part of the information technology security for the university, the way the rumors have alleged? I bet you Idaho actually bought the house. No winding down here. Oh, you're funny. We are almost winding down. We are. And I know I miss you guys so much on Mondays. It's hilarious. It's kind of good to miss though, right? Because it's pretty heavy duty doing the Monday through Friday thing, but I like it. I like to keep my nose on the grindstone. But then it's good to take a break. And then I miss you guys like crazy. I can barely make it through the weekend without a live. And I didn't even do any non-lives this weekend. I just did the community posts. I've watched crime scene cleanups and the red stuff gets in the floorboards and inside walls. Who knows how much of that got spread around? And that's why they can't, one of the many reasons why they can't bulldoze the place until after this is over. It's cray. Absolutely just beyond reason. Absolutely beyond reason. So much evidence in that house. Yes. Okay, you guys. Oh, please hit that thumbs up and share, subscribe if you'd be so kind. It's a free way to help out the channel. I always like to wrap up with reminding me to eat healthy, exercise, get your rest, relax, be kind, make sure that people are kind to you, treat others with respect, make sure everyone around you treats you with respect. You know, I have to remind myself that every day because I've got teenagers. And the older teenagers are more respectful. It's the ones that are newer at being teenagers that I have to kick around to get them to mind their P's and Q's with their mama. So yeah. Shell Art Channel has Ethan. What? Oh my goodness. Kay? Yikes. That's unbelievable. That's so crazy. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So yeah, we'll see. I'll do my my Cliff Notes. I've really been enjoying that Cliff Notes model that we've been doing for the last week or so. So I will plan on doing my lives each day this week. Let's say 9:30, and then doing my Cliff Notes in the afternoon. So I didn't finish reminding us all to eat high protein and lots of produce, twice as many veggies as fruits, and shoot for 9 servings of produce a day, you guys. I know we all grew up hearing 5, but it's a lot more than that you need. And that's for anybody who's not a vegetarian. I mean, vegetarians probably get that many without trying, which is one of the many benefits of being a vegetarian. For me, I just can't do it. I have to have my hardcore protein personally. But, you know, whatever makes you feel good, make sure that you are staying hydrated. And prayer and meditation are so very important. So keep that in mind. Our bodies are the temples of our souls, and we need to take good care of the temple and the soul, correct? Anyway, peace out, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me and sending you all love and lots of light. See you on the next one. Have a great rest of your Monday. And thanks again.